Alan Cox here. So in our first session, part one on Microsoft Purview eDiscovery, we looked at setting up basic content searches, just searching for basic information. Maybe we need to search somebody's email for the last 6 months or year, what have you. Well, today we're going to focus on taking those results and exporting them outside of Microsoft Purview. In this case, we're going to use we're going to export them as PST files. But I set up a new search, and we're going to do it a little bit different. We're going to set up two different individuals, and we're also going to search two different work streams for each. Teams and email for, say, the last 90 days or so. And so then we're going to take that data and we're going to export that data. And then from there, we're going to mount it inside of the new Outlook using in PST files. And so that's going to be our focus today. We're going to take a eDiscovery content search and now export that so that we can use it outside and review it outside of Microsoft Purview. So that's our focus today. eDiscovery content search exports. Let's get started. All right, in part two of our little series on eDiscovery, we are going to focus on, we're going to do a content search again, or one that we've got set up already that covers two individuals with a couple different areas of focus. So teams, messages, as well as email messages. But the focus of this video will be more on the export activity. So once you've got some content search, you don't necessarily have to create a case. We can export that data out into MSG files, message files, or a PST file. And we're gonna talk about that just a little bit and how that works. So that's going to be our focus today on taking a search that we've conducted in content search and then exporting that so that we can use that outside of Purview. So let's get started. So here in Solutions inside of Purview, we're going to go to Solutions and eDiscovery. Now I've got a content search set up here. We'll talk about it just briefly. And this content search, remember, I like my policies and my naming convention to, at a glance, I know exactly what this is doing, right? Mia and Liam, I'm focusing on their email and the instant messages for less than 90 days or between a period of time, right? And so we can click into this and we can look at the query. We can see here the query is email kind or instant message and the date between these periods of time, and there is that. And so once we've run that query, so we've got, if we were to go to statistics here, we'll see that we have some data already. So we don't have to wait on that. And it really gives you a lot of good information. Top item classes, locations, etc., top locations, etc. And at this point now, what we want to do is we want to go in and we want to take this data and export it. Now, I did not do a sample here. When I created my query, I could have told it to generate a sample. I didn't, because I'm really just going to export this. So we're going to go into export here. And what I'm going to do, actually before I do that, just because I can cheat a little bit, I'm going to go in and I'm going to copy this name. We're going to go export because you have to give it a name. And I'm going to give this a name, and then I'm just going to call this export. Now we can give it a meaningful description if we want. And a lot of this is not going to be related to what we're doing because we're focusing on emails and instant messages. But we can select items to include in our export: indexed items, OneDrive and SharePoint, the latest version, or do we want all versions, 10 versions, 100, whatever. And we can continue on down, include only, if we're doing folder, this is really cool. If we're doing folders, if we're searching a folder in our query, which it is an area that you can search, we can add any item in the folder, even if the folder inside that folder doesn't match the query item. So that's nice. It can search the folder regardless. And then we can select items if we have SharePoint lists or lists that have attachments to them. That's nice. Now for messages, I want to capture the full conversation. And what this will do is grab a 12-hour window before and after. And what that does is it gives us kind of full context of what the context of the chat is about. So somebody can just, just not one little thing out of there that doesn't really make sense. But it puts everything into context. We organize conversation into HTML transcripts. Chat messages will be organized into HTML transcripts. When exported, these messages will appear as HTML files and will not be included as PST or message files. I'm going to uncheck this. I'm curious. I'm going to see how this responds here, because I can give you a lot of just HTML transcripts here. Access links. Okay, and so we can do, so if there's access links, like shared links or whatever, we can get the latest versions, etc. That's fine. Export items with report, so we'll get some reporting along with it. Now I like to create the PSTs because it kind of puts it all together, and their attachments are packaged in PSTs where possible. Cloud attachments and files from OneDrive and SharePoint are packaged as loose files. We can also do MSG files, but they're kind of individual. I'm not a huge fan. We can do max PST package size, so once you get to say a 10 gigabyte, it'll start splitting that up a little bit, and we're not going to hit that anyway. We can organize data from separate different locations into separate folders or PSTs. That's important, because if you have multiple people or multiple locations, you don't want a single PST that covers everything. And we'll see that here. Include folder path for the source, condense paths to fit, and give each item a friendly name. So let's do the export. Now we'll see this only should take a couple minutes, but sometimes it can take a little bit longer. We'll see how it's going, and we may pause and restart. So it's running, and at this point we can go to Process Manager, and we can see that our export is in progress. We can refresh here, but we can close out of here, and we can go back. If we go to export, it's just going to act like we're going to send a new export. We can go up to export here, and it'll show us kind of what where we're at here, progress. We can refresh. We can also click here, and it's going to give us an overview. So it's going to talk about what's completed, the duration in progress, copy information, support, and then once the package files are really here, we can work with that. Here it gives us the settings of what we've configured in this setting, and so go back here to overview, and then we'll just close that, and then I'm going to refresh and see if we're there. I'm going to give it about another 30 seconds or so, and then we may just pause and begin to come back to this. Refresh one more time. All right, I'm going to pause, and I will come right back when this is finished, and we'll go look at our export. All right, we can now see that this is still in progress, but if I click here, we'll see that it is complete and actually have my packages here. I'm going to go ahead and refresh here, and it should show us a completion here, and it does. So we are good to go. Now I'm going to go ahead and just click here. Now these are reports, and these are different items. We'll take a look at these, but this is where the PSTs are going to sit. So I'm going to download. I'm going to download just this one for now. This actually is our PSTs. I'm going to download this. And we're going to see this is just going to open a browser and just do the download like we would normally see. That's going to download to wherever your default is. In my case, I'm going to click here. It's in downloads folder. Now I'm going to right click here. Actually, I can just do it here, and I'm going to extract. Okay, that's fine. And I'm going to extract this. And now we see here. So now we see our two PST files. Okay. Liam Anderson, and Mia. So it split those PST files. Now, if I were to take this PST file, and one reason I like the PSTs is because now I can go into Outlook and I can say, let's take a file and let's add a file here. And let's go to Downloads, PSTs Exchange, and let's take Liam. It's a little bigger. We're going to go here, see what happens here. Okay. All right. Okay. That is good. Display name, we can go Liam Anderson, save. All right. And at this point, we can just close this because now we see Liam Anderson is essentially mounted inside. And here is where I can look at all of that information. So for example, the inbox, see if this is, may not be recoverable items. See if we got any subtrade holds. Okay. Top of information store. This kind of does things a little bit differently because it's imported here. I said there's nothing here. We really go to, let's do this first. Let's go to Teams message data. Okay. All right. And so here are, this is some conversations within Teams that it has pulled. Now, if we go to the top of the information store, I'm going to expand this, and now we've got the inbox. Here's where we have pulled the inbox of Liam, right? So we have this mounted here. So I'm looking at all of the inbox information from Liam based on our search here. So it sees things a little bit different than what you might be used to seeing things because it's really searching for we've searched for the inbox and all of that. So, and of course Teams messages. I'm curious if it pulled any Teams meeting stuff. Yeah. No, we didn't really ask for a lot of that, but here are some, message data. Here's some facilitator conversations that have happened inside of Teams for facilitator agent, etc. So that's kind of how that works there. And so Mia Rodriguez, pretty much the same thing. Now there are other exports we do have. We can go and look at the item. So let's drop and let's download this real quick, and then we'll drop into this folder here, and let's extract this right here as well. Okay. And there may not be much happening here. Content path files. Okay, so there might have been some attachments, etc., that are links or attachments, file attachments, or whatever that are part of those. And remember, it said it would split those into kind of their own area, and not necessarily include those as well. But in any case, it's so that's a little bit about the content search. Or the content search and then exporting that. Of course, we can get reports on this. It'll just tell us what all was exported, and it just gives you a bunch of CSV files. We're going to download this real quick and take a look. And so let's open this file. Let's just extract right there, so we can see some CSV files of all this information. We'll extract this real quick. Just take a peek. All right, so. Items, locations, settings, summary. If we go to summary, it's just going to open up this file here. And here's the thing. You could actually take this and save it as an Excel file, and then from there you can have Copilot really kind of go to work on it, right? Any CSV file, take that and turn it into, just resave it as an Excel file. And from that point, really now you can really have Copilot kind of go to work on it, and do a lot of pretty cool things there. So anyway, that once we're done with this, just so you know, once we're done, if you're done with the case, if you're done with the export itself, you can go in and we can go in. So here's the export. We can go into the export and delete it here. You can also click here, hide it down here, and delete the export here. This isn't deleting the search. We're in the exports here. We're not deleting the search, but we can delete this here. That's going to make our search go, or our export rather, go away. But our search is still there. So that is how we can export content that we have searched for and discovered in eDiscovery. I hope this has been helpful for you. Thank you for watching.